Hello! It's the time again where we crack open a cold one. This episode, we are talking about our favorite Turner Prize works. Please check out our Instagram @chartpodcast, and if you're not already, subscribe on Spotify and Apple Music so you never miss a new episode from us. So sit back, relax, and crack open a cold one with us. Enjoy!
We can't see it. We can see Pickle Rick. When are we gonna get like chart written on?
On like our chest?
Face?
Yeah, on our chest here.
But I think Javier's already doing hair on each of his chest. Maybe.
Close to the heart.
Yeah.
Close.
The lower back is a good option as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes,
Like,
a chart tramp
You know,
stamp.
when I'm in the beach, he can be like popping out of my my swimming suit, like.
Maybe like at the very top of the thigh.
Yes.
Like I have a tattoo. It's in a hidden place, and then people are like, oh, show me, and I'm like, it says chart. At chart. What are we at chart?
They're like, what the fuck is that?
I would get it maybe around my belly button.
Oh yeah. But I'll like never wear a bikini, and I just feel like people won't get the benefit if it's around my belly button.
I feel like we should say what the Turner Prize is, because I don't even really know what it is. I just know it's like a bit chaotic.
I know it's a very controversial thing.
It's also huge. Like every year people are like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
people who don't know anything about art. Okay, wait, so what is the Turner Prize?
I thought you asking that question, I thought you already had an answer.
Yeah.
I
You already
okay.
looked it up.
I was hoping for that.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, we
okay.
do.
What is the Turner Prize? I'm about to tell you. It's an award. Thank you.
That's the
It's named after J.M.W. Turner,
Turner,
like
yeah.
the big British
Painter.
artist. He's like, it's like his paintings have been smushed a bit. But they're a big deal. They're very nice.
Turner is a great painter. Go watch his
Yeah,
stuff at the National Gallery.
I'm about it. Also,
Very
if you
romantic, very
if you
beautiful.
go to Margate, you can go to the Turner.
Where's Margate?
the
Margate
coast,
is
right?
Okay.
southeast. You can drive there. It's like 2 hours, I think. I've been there once. It was really nice. But it was like closed for renovation, like most of the galleries. But the building itself is really, really nice. And you can get fish and chips by the sea.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you can have fish and chips everywhere.
100 likes and we'll go there.
Dude, but by the sea, it hits different.
It's
Like
different.
the fish is freshly taken out of the sea
It just hits different. Sitting there, seagulls eating the food in your
from
hand,
your
Yeah.
plate,
The sea.
getting attacked,
flying away with the food
smelling
you
the
paid
sea.
for.
little
100 likes.
crabs nibbling at
Go
your
to
food.
Margate.
Okay,
Nibbling
fine.
at our feet.
I'll drive us there. I'll
5
drive us
likes
to
and we just
Margate.
go.
Like under the speed limit to completely
Onto the
safe.
speed- if you
Yes.
drive with me, it's always under the speed limit, and we have to stop at anywhere that says drive-through.
We will
for the
wear our
experience.
hats and our face.
And
Okay.
Yes, can we? Can I take the hat?
But we can
Yes,
go
we
to
can.
Margate without 100 likes. Like I can ask if just to take the car, and we can just drive there.
Nice.
How
Nice.
far is it?
So we're gonna go if you don't
Literally.
like us.
100. What was I saying? 1 hour and a half or 2 hours?
130 hours.
Hours.
There's gonna
Okay.
be a video blog of it.
127 hours hanging on the cliff. That's us.
Yes,
Listening to Toxic on repeat.
guys. Okay, no, I will put the whole Britney album. We don't just need to listen to Toxic. It would be a bit crazy.
Still, it's gonna be.
But
Have you seen
yeah.
Kevin Tyson?
Okay, great.
Okay,
I cannot
okay.
wait.
Let me tell you about the Turner Prize. That's what we're here for. So it's okay. So between 1991 and 2016, you had to be under 50 to be eligible. Ageism. And so it's organised by Tate, and it's usually at Tate Britain. And in recent years, it's been held in other places just to like change it up a bit. So since 1984, it's become the UK's most publicised art award. As of 2004, you get £40,000 like money if you win, which
Wow.
I feel is a lot. But then you probably sell the work for like so much because it's got the publicity.
Mhm.
I think at this point, it's the money is symbolic, and what they really win is the prestige of having won the Turner Prize. You know.
And also, like having the money to make more work.
Yeah.
Like your practice is no longer restricted to your financial
restrictions.
Yeah.
So sometimes celebrities award the award. It was Yoko
Jude Law
Ono.
did one at some point.
It was Yoko Ono in 2006, and it was
Cool.
Jude Law in 2012.
Interesting.
Jude
I'd rather
Law.
be.
I would have liked to win that one.
I would have liked to win the one with Yoko Ono just to see what weird shit she would do.
Yoko Ono.
Joko Ono.
Javier, you're a
Put that on
joke.
the t-shirt.
I'm a Yoko Ono.
Like, thank you so much, Yoko Ono.
That can be your t-shirt now.
Yeah, that would be your
like a
t-shirt.
Joko Ono on the back. Yeah.
She's a joke, to be fair.
So obviously there've been
Oh.
loads of controversies, which I'm sure some of our artworks are a bit controversial.
Like
And
controversial in what way?
Mine is, so you will see.
mine
Mine's
is as
fine.
well. So we'll get there.
Okay.
And what else do I have to tell you? Like, not much. I think it was begun in 1984, and since then it's just become like big deal.
I heard it from somewhere that it became a really big deal because you can bet on who's gonna win. Yeah, back
Like
then
then-
apparently, and then it got like really publicized because people love gambling.
Well, I can so see that because like in 1995 it was Damien Hirst, and then before that it was Anthony Gormley, and then before that was Rachel White Reed. It's all these names that have now become. Anish Kapoor was 1991. It's all these
Yeah.
names that have become like huge, and
yeah.
I don't recognize like a lot of the names that are like just nominees and didn't win.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, so that's essentially what the Turner Prize is, and it happens every year. It's a big deal.
This year got postponed.
Life got
There we
postponed.
go. I mean, that's all I've got to say.
Start.
Yeah. Who wants to start?
Let's play rock, paper, scissors and decide.
Okay.
Should we just do it chronologically?
No.
Okay.
No.
Fuck it.
So much more fun this way.
On
1, 2,
three.
3,
On
on.
3. 1, 2.
Three.
Wait.
So
No!
it's 1, 2,
3, 2, 1. Rock, paper, scissors.
scissors. Who
Okay.
won?
We have everything. We have
Yeah,
everything.
but I beat
So
Christy.
Mara, no, Christy beat Mara, but we
Yeah.
both beat Christy. So we have to play
Yeah.
you and I, Finn.
Okay.
Okay, cut
Okay.
this. You won.
I think
Oh my god, I would have
Amazing.
paper as well.
Why? Paper is soft,
Anyway, okay.
but
And I'm
it's
hard.
like very
That's what you want
painful
to say.
cuts.
So we've just played a game of rock, paper, scissors to determine who's going to start. It's going to be Javier.
No, it's
That's
gonna be
gonna be
Finn.
me. I did
It's gonna be
scissors.
Finn. And
I
You
then
don't know the
Javier.
rules of this game.
I've got how you play, and then
I can select.
Finn can decide in order of who he likes most who goes next. Okay, fine. Why don't you go ahead? Tell us who your favorite Turner Prize person was.
My favorite Turner Prize winner was the 2018 winner, Charlotte Prudger, with a video work called Bridget, where she explores her own identity and her place in the world. Unfortunately, I haven't seen it like live yet. I've only seen on screen, like on the computer,
Yeah.
because COVID. So the film is completely shot on her iPhone, and the artist is really interested in the connection and the entanglements between the human body and technology as well in this film. And that's something that I find very interesting and very fascinating about it, because the moment I watched it, I immediately felt sucked into the film. It's almost like I was put under anesthetics. I was so drawn to it because the film starts with her laying on the sofa, and you can see her feet and you can hear her breathing. You can see the movement because, your arms, when you lay down, rest on your body. And, when you film with your phone, it kind of moves up and down. Then it transitions into landscape shots of Scotland because she's from Glasgow, Scotland. Immediately the transition happens, you hear the voiceovers that are done by the artist and her friends. And those voiceovers are texts that she has written in her diary, mainly, and sometimes also writings by queer activists that she really inspires to. And what I find just interesting in the film is that the way that she uses the way that it's filmed with the iPhone, because it really shows kind of the shortcomings of both the human body and both the technology, because the human body, the fact that it cannot stand still, to take a static shot, that you start like shaking when you're filming too long, the finger presses on the lens. You can see kind of the blood in the finger when you press on the camera too much. But then also the iPhone, and that it cannot reach the apertures it needs. So like the brightness or the darkness or the contrast in between those two parts that you can sometimes have in a shot. The wind that would, be too strong for the mic to even capture, so that it would just be silent. The way that she then uses her voiceovers, which are really very intimate, you can really feel that without knowing the entire story that she's telling, because it's just excerpts from her diary. You can really feel that's a very intimate story. Really changes the way you look at a landscape. And I think that was her intention too. Because when we also look at a landscape, we try to figure out where it is. It gets this almost romantic blob of when we see a film and like a cityscape, we're immediately thinking like, where is that? Is that Paris? Is that Romania? A city in Romania? Is that somewhere in the US? But then the moment she adds that monologue that she has, it becomes a subjective experience that she puts forward. The landscape, then the perception of the landscape immediately changes in just becoming the individual location, and how that then carries those monologues that the artist and her friends make. And working with both things, she's really talking about finding her own journey in being a queer artist and finding her own path in the world, and by looking at her surroundings. And I think it's just a very beautiful, peaceful work. I really like the honesty, like the raw element in it, and would love to see it in real life, because it's about like a 32-minute long.
Sounds very thin.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
the calmness.
Yeah.
I actually really like that work as well. I actually wanted to choose that one, but then you chose it, so I was like, okay. Because I actually saw it in real life. I saw the whole show of 2018, also 2017, 2019.
Tell us.
The second is for sector, which I will speak about. But it's pretty much about her trying to locate her sexuality and being queer, but also being gay in Scotland. And I think one thing that you said about trying to locate yourself in the landscape that she's filming, and there's also scenes of really intimate shots of herself as well, and her cat, which is really really cute. And and you just feel like you're in bed with her, and just like listening her.
Came for the artwork,
and she's like
stayed for the cat,
stayed for the voice, because she's got a really soothing voice, but at the same time like really and like really strong at the same time. And obviously she's got a Scottish accent, which kind of helps you locate the landscape in a way. But yeah, like she's this like a bit tomboyish looking girl. I don't remember if there's scenes of her in full shot. I don't think there is. But yeah, it's a really beautiful film, and it's so different when you see it in person, where it's projected onto a huge screen and you're sat in a dark room and you just feel like you're in the space and you're in her mind. And yeah, it's a very, like, again, very romantic, very personal, magnificent stuff. No wonder she won.
Exactly. Remember that when you said like, I just want to sit there with like the projection, you remember that museum that we went to in Amsterdam, where we went into this big dark room, and they had this super comfortable sofas, and we were all sat there like falling asleep.
Yeah.
I mean, I would feel like that if I would watch her film, but not because I was so tired of the trip, but because her voice is like so soothing, and you just drift away.
I'm unsure about drifting away, because it's like what she says is very poignant. True. And you feel really like you want to know what's going on. You want to hear more. You want to know you just want to know what's going on. Like, it doesn't make you feel tired.
No, I don't think I would fall asleep, but just get carried away by her so much.
Yeah, really definitely. Like, I watched it like probably 2 times, and then I went back again to see it again because it's really good. But yeah, the whole show was a really long endeavor. Something like 3 hours, 4 hours to actually watch everything.
Yeah.
And at the
Guys,
same time,
I have a question. What year was this?
2018.
Who wants to go next?
Okay, so now I can select.
Jane has the honor of choosing.
Or
Yeah,
any
you-
like what? Anyone else got any insights about the work?
I
About-
find it
Gotcha.
hard because it's a video and I haven't seen it, and I know I
True.
should have.
Yeah,
The whole 2018 is all videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're all videos.
Cool.
So
vibe.
is that something that they pre-select, or is it just it happened that all of them were videos?
I don't think it's themed.
Yeah, I think it just happened that all of them were videos, or maybe in particular that year they wanted to give like some sort of
Yeah, so like
it's it's a rising medium.
Like recognition, for something
yeah,
that has been overlooked.
Yeah, exactly. Because previous years it's been like painters and sculptors.
Yeah,
and
traditional.
not necessarily traditional, but just like
what's
Traditional
TikTok be
media.
the category in 10 years time?
Yeah.
AI. I hope AI art get recognized relatively soon because it's like a really fast growing and it's really interesting and it addresses a lot of things that's really important.
That
When I
sounds
said I
like
was
a theme for another episode, Christy.
when I said I was doing this, I said, "Oh, we're talking about the Turner Prize." My sister didn't know what it was, and so I said, "It's for artists." And she said, "My favorite artist is
Michael
Meryl
Jackson.
Streep." And I was like, "What?"
What?
She said Meryl Streep.
Not Britney and her
that?
paintings.
Oh, not Britney.
Okay.
I don't think she's really into Britney. I think she's like
That
only
is a-
Mara
That
listens to
basic
that.
bitch.
We should do a crack on
Yeah.
the one about that, about why some things are called art but are not considered art by the
Art
academy.
people.
Yeah, like today I looked up
Like, I don't know, like music, movies, video games, stuff like
for
that.
like my dissertation, I looked up like South African like artists, whatever, and then it did hip hop artists and like singers, and I was like, oh.
Oh.
So then I had to specify painters or like sculptors,
Yeah.
but artists is just used more that way. Okay,
Different one.
who's next?
Oh,
And
okay. The bird and Mara, you can go.
Okay, I've done a picture of this.
Oh, do we have to close our eyes again?
Brilliant.
oh, do we get to close our eyes?
Yeah, you get to close your eyes. Okay, it's a bit shorter and it's got a bit of a dark side.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Shine it.
Okay. It's the late 90s. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone has just come out. Everyone's listening to Oasis' new album, Be Here Now, and Titanic has just premiered. The latest gossip is that Bill Clinton promises he did not have sexual relations with that woman, and everyone has a Furby.
Furby's that old.
Yeah. Did you
Fuck.
have one?
Yeah, but in 2004.
You had a Furby.
So late to the party.
Then why would you have
I
a
had two.
Furby though?
So wait, you think
Why? It's
TikTok
so-
and like Wizards of Waverly Place is childish, but you had a Furby.
I was
Two.
6 or 5.
That doesn't.
Still though, I didn't
But
have one.
I was reading The Hobbit meanwhile. I was with my Furby like
Then if you're 6 or 5, then it's not 2004.
yeah.
Do the maths.
Yes, it is.
bitch.
Well, I don't know the exact year, but I was very young. I must have been that age. So it was 2003, 2004. I don't know.
Anyway, back to the.
Okay, that seems old to me to have a Furby, but that's okay. Each to their own.
Imagine too. And their lips fell off, so they were like because their lips were made of rubber, and it would like fall off because it was
What
shitty
did you
rubber.
do to them? Okay. anyway.
Nothing. They
Oh
just-
my god, I was closing my
Practicing
eyes
kissing.
all the way through. I was
All the way
closing my
through
eyes all
that
the way- yeah.
conversation. Okay. Okay, so everyone has a Furby. This thing Google has just launched. It's almost the millennia. You've just finished the latest season of Buffy the Vampire and Sex and the City.
It's
However-
the vampire slayer, not the vampire.
True.
Oh, sorry, I did write Slayer, but I forgot. Sorry. Buffy is not a vampire. I've seen every episode, so I should know.
Thank you.
Okay. However, you've been in bed for weeks, depressed out of your mind. You and your boyfriend have broken up. You go days without food and drink straight vodka from your bed. You smoke and you never wash. One day, you decide to get up from bed for water and look back at the bed and think, quote, this is from the artist, what if here wasn't here? What if I took out this bed with all its detritus, with all the bottles and the shitty sheets, the vomit stains, the used condoms, the dirty underwear, the old newspapers? What if I took all of that out of this bedroom and placed it into a white space? What would it look like then? You decide to do just that. Months later, it's nominated for the 1999 Turner Prize. It doesn't win. However, it far exceeds any other contestant in notoriety. Critics say it's a joke and that anyone could have exhibited their unmade bed. You answer back, quote, well, they didn't, did they? No one has ever done this before. Okay, that's the end. Now I've got more information. So this is Tracy Emin's My Bed, 1998. And essentially, I'll explain it so people can visualize it. It is literally an unmade bed with a blue rug underneath and a small nightstand. It's very messy. There's loads of rubbish and there's like a million objects surrounding it. So the media instantly didn't like it. And they were like, it's got stained blood sheets with like bodily secretion. It has used condoms all over it. It has like stained underwear with like menstrual blood, and it's like all very gross. But then there's like more practical objects like slippers and tights, newspapers, candles, like self-portrait Polaroids. There's also a bottle of vodka and some cigarettes. So that's what it looks like. It's literally like if you spent a week in bed, but you're also going through a bit of a bender.
Okay. So the story that about breaking up and being like,
that's what she said, is
mummified in that bed for that long,
like,
was it actually real?
That's true. The bit about like the Philosopher's Stone, all that was just
that's fantasy.
Historical context. It was just historical context. Just so you know what kind of vibe it is.
Right.
So yeah, she basically went through a hard time, and then
she kept the condoms.
I was just wondering that too. That's really weird.
Yeah. I think she just didn't do, like, she did not clean it up at all. She didn't throw anything away.
Why?
So when the next one came, right after the first one, left the condom there, she was like, "Don't touch anything, just."
No, I don't think it was like 50.
Leave it on the floor.
I don't think.
I'm just waiting her like by the door, like, "Hey, bye!" Running to the trash can, like, take my condom out.
No, I don't think it was like various men. I think those were probably like, I don't know. I haven't
They were donated by her fans.
I don't think they were donated by fans. I'm not sure. She wasn't very popular at the time. Like, she wasn't very well known. Like, this is the thing that completely like launched her. She only became well known in her 30s. Whereas
what other works were there?
She
did
did.
So controversial.
What other works were there nominated? Or
yeah, that year.
No fucking clue.
Oh.
We don't do that. We were only selecting one.
Okay, sorry.
I didn't look it up. I'm going to tell you right now because I have it here.
We're bad researchers, people. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
I spent so much time writing the picture this that I didn't have time. The winner was Video, made by Steve McQueen.
Oh.
I think actually we've watched
Western
it.
Deep.
I think we've watched it, and it was like,
which one?
Based on a very old film.
Oh, the window.
Yeah, and it was really windy, and then that stuff out.
Buster Keaton movie.
Yeah, that one.
That one. Did that one win?
That. Yeah, that one
won. I mean, it was an impressive film.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's basically the winner, and then Stephen Pippin.
Pippin, that name.
Pippin, as in Mary and Pippin.
Pippin.
Jane and Louise Wilson.
Yeah, these people I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, basically after that, it became very popular just because it was discussed so much. And Charles Saatchi, who's a businessman and the owner of the Saatchi Gallery, bought it for $150,000, and he exhibits it in his gallery space. And then in his actual house, he made a room dedicated for the bed.
Oh, okay. In his house.
In his house.
That's a bit strange.
That's how much he liked
condoms
it.
And everything.
I imagine that's where he takes his acquaintances.
No, I don't think he uses
it's an ongoing artwork. It never finishes.
in terms of
Lovely.
now how much it's worth, in 2014, some Australian dude bought it for £2.5 million,
Wow.
and then like allowed Tate to have it on exhibit forever.
Oh, that's nice.
So he was nice. So it's in Tate. Well, I don't know if like they've changed stuff around, but I've only ever seen it in Tate Britain, and every time I go there, it's usually there, and it has its own room.
Interesting.
Oh, it's in Tate Britain.
It's kind of hidden away. I'd recommend seeing it. It's
Tate
nice.
Modern or Tate Britain? Tate Modern.
Britain, because she's
Britain.
British.
Oh.
And then also, people were upset because they were like, "This is so gross," which like I think is understandable because you're like, "Oh, I really don't want to see like someone's like menstrual blood or like their condoms."
Understandable, yeah.
Okay, but she's there making a cool bed. It obviously shows she might have a problem with alcohol because there's literally vodka everywhere. Like, she likes sex, like all this stuff, and it's like a very open display.
Yeah.
Okay. It shows obviously a lot of suffering as well because it is literally like a very symbolic of a very short period of time in her life that was very upsetting.
Yeah.
So yes, normal people would have got up, cleaned the bed.
And bear in mind,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Like bear in mind that even though the late 90s were not that long ago.
Yeah. So
it was a very different world. So like probably
Mm-hmm.
being this public about the most intimate aspects of her life was outrageous for the public.
Yeah, I think it kind of, that was very dramatic.
That's her. She's angry at you for what
it ignores like society's expectations of women, because I think like well and good for some dude to be like, I'm going to do a painting with my bodily secretions, and we're all like, that's a bit gross, but it's fine. But like she's there.
Herman needs love him.
Well, she's there just being like, you know, here's something very real, and you know, we're like, oh, that's so gross, why are you airing your dirty laundry? And also I thought, how come we're always like, oh, this artist is so tortured, like he's going through such a depressive phase, and then you're like, oh, they make their best work, kind of like Adele with her breakups, and then she makes an album after. Okay,
Swift is also pretty.
Which album did she?
That first one, like, it wasn't her first one, but that one called like 20 something,
21,
like, maybe, yeah, the one that came out a few years ago.
I see.
Okay, that's like sort of besides the point. So you go through something horrible and then you make like your best work. Why can't that be applied to this? Because this is considered like her most well-known work. Okay, just things to think about.
I think that nowadays, if this were to happen, it would be people wouldn't be as outraged as they were back then. They would be more about, wow, this is so brave and and realistic, and they would applaud that she's brave enough to show that aspect of herself. Back then, I'm pretty sure people were like, when women have like sex?
Women, I know. I'm very confused about
that. So
same time, I think it still would be very controversial work if it would never have happened, and it would, you know, suddenly appear in a white space. I think it would still be very controversial.
When you see it, it's like when you go to someone's house and it's like a house party, and you go to their bathroom and you go through their medicine cabinet, like you want to know what's going on.
I don't do that.
Sane people don't do that. Mara is getting help.
Stop stalking people, Mara.
Yes, please.
There's
by house
professionals
parties,
dealing with
just
this
people.
We are sorry for anybody who has had Mara in their home and she's been through your.
It's very traumatic.
She's harmless. I promise you.
No, but you just want to know, like, what's happening.
She's very sick.
Can you please comment if you've done this, because I know other people have done this.
If you do seek help,
problematic.
There's going to be a phone in the bio. Okay. You can call them and ask for help.
You can, okay. We'll leave a number.
Yes.
Okay, but you want to know about people's lives, like things that they won't. It's like the same reason why I watch those stupid videos that like, what's in my bag? I don't know why I want to know what's in people's bags, but I just do.
And those are so staged.
I think the difference is that, like you stage what's in your bag. You don't stage what's in your bag. Which is fine,
but why do I want to know like what people's stuff is? I don't know.
I only want to know like the traumatic ones, or like Jeffree Star having a butcher knife in his bag. That's
same. That's again like I want to know.
How did you gather that information?
Yes,
because I watched that.
I've been watching all the videos about Jeffree Star and what's going on. Okay,
you'll scare me.
Okay, anyway,
I'm sorry.
Feel like you go and you look at this work and you want to see every single little thing that they've left, that she's left on the bed, because it's so, it's just like, I want to know, what were you doing? Like,
I think part of what would be like, what's the right word for this? Like people would very low-key interested in seeing what things she has in her bed that they also do or have done in their bed.
Yeah, because I love this
I'm not the only one that doesn't like throw away this thing, or that has his bed full of this thing. But they wouldn't admit it. That's the point.
Would you say it's like one of the first few works, or maybe like, well, not necessarily first, but one of the ones that really tap into voyeurism?
Like, it's very confessional, so I guess then
and
that's just
it's really honest, and like, you know, the aspect of it being, you want to know what other people's private life is, which is not staged.
Yeah, but then again, can you call it voyeurism when the artist explicitly puts her bed in the space? Then it's not really voyeurism.
Or something that challenges voyeurism, which is also very interesting.
I mean,
I think it's a bit more about normalizing the disgusting things we do in our private moments.
Yeah, like, because we're all disgusting. We all know that we're secretly very
humans
disgusting.
Are terrible. We produce like so much trash every day, and this woman, instead of throwing it out, she left it in her bed.
I feel it's very, like, it brings me so much comfort, because I'm like, I've definitely been there where I've been like, you know, order Deliveroo.
The big vodka and the condom.
I have not done the vodka thing, but like order like a Deliveroo in bed, eating the Deliveroo, have a nap, like so upset about something, you know, wake up, open a can of Coke, like throw it on the floor, like just gross, like literally, like, oh, I can't, like, it makes me to think that I've been that gross at some point, like eating like a Swiss roll in bed, that kind of thing. Like seeing that with someone else is comforting, because you're like, oh, like, you know, everyone does that, like that's so normal.
You're not the only one. That goes through hardship.
I really like her work, actually. I really think it's really cool, and
she's my fave. So basically, then I also wanted to mention I really don't want to say the two artists' names because I'm going to butcher it, but in 1999, so they basically found my bed, and
Mara's bed.
my bed in 1999 when I was 2. They found Tracy Emin's bed, and then they jumped on it, and Tracy Emin had said that the bed was exactly how she had left it that day when she got up, got the water, turned around and was like, this could be an artwork. So she says she did not touch it ever again. That was it.
I wonder how they transported it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it would, that is like
take a picture.
That's bullshit. Yeah, exactly.
I guess literally the only thing you could do is take a picture and redo it. But there's, you know, she said she was in a tiny flat, and you know, this is like quite a small bed, and
or you put like a lot of hairspray on the sheets.
I don't know.
Like it's not a hairspray,
so that it just gets.
It was like completely
solid. So they could just take it off.
I mean, the Chinese artists have sort of proved it wrong since they've jumped on it.
Because they jumped.
Maybe they broke a bone when they jumped in it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe after time the hairspray dissolves and it becomes. Yeah.
I don't think it's the hairspray.
Yeah,
and that's my professional opinion.
My point. So another question I have is when they jumped in the bed, the one that landed on the condoms, what was it thinking?
You seem to really have a fixation with the condoms.
Well, I think
they don't throw it on the floor.
Well, did they how did they jump in the bed? Was it like they jumped and they were like?
Well, okay,
they just jumped.
I'll tell you more about it.
Like a monkey.
So the performance was called Two Naked Men Jump into Tracy's Bed.
They were naked. Great.
No,
they were about.
They had trousers on, so they weren't naked, because I think that would be like another level of like illegal. So.
Wow, cowards.
They had basically they considered it a sexual act was necessary to fully respond to Tracy's piece, although this part of their intervention was not fulfilled.
Damn it.
That'd be fun. A visitor reported everyone at the exhibition started clapping as they thought it was part of the show. At first, the security people didn't know what to do. So, yeah.
Okay.
Most stressful job ever. security guard in like a
Is it a performance?
artist like gallery. They're like,
it's not clear if it was something like sort of because they didn't like the bed or something to do with Tracy Emin, or because there was a visit by the current Chinese president at the time.
oh, he must.
But I don't think they've said something like in particular about what it was. So that's everything.
I do have trouble understanding what their response then is with the work to Tracy
Just
Emin's
vibe.
bed.
Also, it was like literally the year all of this happened. So it was so, like this work was literally in the news, like still on everyone's mind. And like,
I think it's a similar thing that when the guy put the banana in the wall and someone
went and
saw
eat it.
the controversy and said, I have to eat it now. Similar thing must have happened.
So yeah, that's my work of art. Yeah. I love Tracy. Actually, I have
10,000 likes and we'll go to
1,000.
She works in Margate at the moment.
And jump on the bed naked.
She works in Margate.
Yeah.
Another reason to go to Margate.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a story about Tracy.
Is it? Do we have to close our eyes again?
No, it's not one. Well, I mean, you can if you want, but
like you're completely free to do whatever you want.
I haven't scripted it.
So I cannot stop you.
When I was at school in my last couple of years, I'm sure I've already told you, but I was like using the sewing machine to like draw things. So I was just like moving paper on the knee, and this girl came in. She was like, my backpack broke, and I was like, oh, I can fix it for you, but it won't look that good. But like, I'll do it anyway. And she said, yeah, sure, like anything just to fix the strap. So I put it onto the sewing machine, and then I gave it back to her. And she said, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm doing this thing. So I really like Tracy Emin. And she goes, oh yeah, like Tracy Emin's my godmother. So I was like, oh, I'm so jealous. That's so cool. And she was like, yeah, she's really nice. And that was kind of it. And then like a couple of days later, she came up to me and she said, hey, just to thank you for like fixing my bag, I got this mug signed by Tracy Emin. And I got this book signed by Tracy Emin. And the mug literally said like, to Mara Love Tracy.
Wow.
What the fuck?
That's so
We've
cool.
never seen this mug. Like in one of these.
I have it. It's here.
What?
Show us.
Yeah.
Like, what are you waiting for?
Sorry. Oh my God.
Sometimes I don't know
cool. I wish that would happen to me sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Mars secretly has a lot of these.
It's kind of like rubbed
Mara's
off now, but this is the mug. It has this on one side.
Like a bunny thing?
Here it said, for Mara Love Tracy.
Damn.
That's great.
It's so cool.
Yeah. I got a book as well. I don't know what it is.
That mug was probably like with all the condoms and stuff in the bed.
It wasn't.
She kind of washed it out.
You can buy that mug at like the tape shop. But she did that, and then like a year ago, I kept in touch with this girl. Like from time to time, we just message each other. But she was like 3 years younger than me. So a couple of years ago, maybe like a year ago, I went to an opening for the Tracy Emin exhibition, and Tracy was there at the White Cube. And I queued in the queue to get in, like for a million years. So they were like handing out free beers, and I was just like, we're never going to get in because it's already so late. Yeah. And as I left and I got on the tube, I posted a picture of the outside, and she messaged me. She said, "Oh my God, you should have messaged me because I was inside, and I could have just snuck you and your friend in." And I was like,
"Oh,
well, it's never too late. We can go back."
Yeah, we can still go back now.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's go.
Maybe they're still there waiting to get in.
When she next has one, I'll message her and be like, I'm planning on coming.
Yeah.
Please.
We should
have class.
We should have her on the podcast.
Yeah.
Just an idea.
Yeah.
I'll message her. She's really nice.
Like two likes and we'll get Tracy Emin.
Oh, 2 likes. Now it's 2 likes. Usually it's like 100,000.
This one seems like realistic enough.
I like that
going to Prada Marfa and like vandalizing is not realistic enough.
Do you not have enough money to bring us there?
We are now apparently. What?
Do you not have enough money to bring us to?
Is that what you're saying? Telling us now?
I'm sorry to break it to you, but I don't have enough money to take you on a 6-month-long trip around the US.
Oh, it's 6 months.
Well, we have to go from Prada Marfa to the Bible Museum in Washington.
Like, that's so nice of you.
That's
6 months.
Wow.
That's great. I'm gonna get it.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, let's move on. Who is it?
Who's next?
Mara, you have to choose.
Who you like?
Who I like most?
Yeah.
Damn it.
That question
Damn it.
is obvious.
Me liking stuff? That doesn't sound like me.
Wow, your mask is getting really
Obviously,
shiny.
Christy.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Mine is also for 2018, as I mentioned, with Charlotte Prodger, and it's done by kind of like a artist collective called Forensic Architecture, and they're like a research group based at Goldsmith University in London, and they've been recognized for their investigation or like investigative exhibitions, and they kind of recreate historical events or political events using spatial analysis to review human rights violations. And they're founded in 2010 by Israeli architect, I'm going to murder his name, E.L. Wiseman. And the Architectural Investigation Agency is currently working to create a 3D video of the Grenfell Tower fire. So they have a lot of ongoing projects, including defending a human rights organization against allegations of concluding with people smugglers, a neo-Nazi murder case, and ethnic cleansing by ISIS in Iraq. So the work that got the Turner Prize is in 2016, the researchers in forensic architecture, they created an interactive model of the really famous prison in Syria for information seen and heard by detainees. So they created this sort of model space of the prison, and the work basically, it's kind of like a scene, like a double screen of like tracing people from above, and like the layout of the prison, and then it's just like relatively interactive, but obviously very computer rendered. It's really like, it's kind of praised for being highly innovative to source and visualize evidence relating to human rights and abuses around the world. And they're often used in courts of law as well as exhibition of art and architecture. Yeah, so basically it's an interactive model of a Syrian prison that shows the condition inside the detention center. So it's quite dark, it's very heavy, very political, but at the same time, like, it kind of highlights how important moving image is and how important it is to explore these debates that are very hard to deal with. And it's really like, so when you see it, it's it takes a bit of time to understand what's going on, and then the moment you understand what's happening or what you're seeing, it just makes your heart sink a little bit, or quite a lot. It's kind of like if you went to see the Steve McQueen show with the one that they descend into the mining bit, and it's just like really loud. It kind of does the same thing, but sort of minus the loud noises. It's just purely relatively visual and not a lot of noises, but yeah, I think that's really enough to evoke a lot of questions in your head about human rights and kind of remind you of how fortunate you are, to be in the UK. Yeah, exactly, and how we sort of sometimes push these issues aside, out of mind, out of sight, when these are actually really important things and are happening technically in front of our eyes, but at the same time we choose to ignore.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy to pretend like it's not happening, because you, like, I imagine most people have never gone through something where so much is stripped away from the life that you know. It's so, I can't even imagine. It would be so surreal to me to ever imagine like my life was so much taken away. It makes me think, like, once seeing like an Ai Weiwei work, and I don't know if you went, but at the RA, where they had a room with like all these cells.
Yeah.
And they were, I can't remember what the scale was, but
it's a little bit smaller, but then you can like climb up and look into it.
You like went through some tiny step ladder and had a look inside, and you could see how he was once detained.
Yeah.
Right.
And like the size of the room, and I think each like cell was him doing something else, but in the same cell.
Yeah.
Right.
And I thought that's weird because he's so well known, and it's like so weird to think that would be something he's experienced. And yeah,
I don't remember who it was. I don't want to risk saying the wrong name, but there was a sociologist that wrote about the evolution of torture and how humans basically treat criminals and people who break the law and all that. And his reflection was that, in the Middle Ages and before that time, we would, as in human beings, would punish the body, like torture and basically like crucifixion and
just like physical.
Yeah, but
pain.
like where you really paid for what you've done, breaking the law and all that, was with your body. Like they would mutilate you, hurt you, all that. Nowadays, there's a shift towards the mind.
Yeah.
Basically, you are driven insane in places like this, or I don't remember when it was. I think it was during the Obama presidency that someone discovered that the main official in charge of the Guantanamo Bay prison was forcing prisoners to wear like pink underwear and use like really loud, I think it was Britney Spears, but correct me if I'm wrong, but a really noisy, loud music that wouldn't stop all day long, and completely like driving them insane and like completely breaking down their sanity with psychological torture. So it's a really sad thing to see that we haven't learned, we've just evolved when it comes to dealing with criminality. And
or you can also say that people have learned how to inflict pain the most.
Yeah.
Because when Ai Weiwei came out, just before, he was talking about the RA show, he has just got out of being a house arrest. That was technically house arrest, but basically in the cells that you can see him doing other things, there's always two people, and those government officials, they were there to how he said it was, they were made to sit there and look at him as if he was an object for 3 months. So basically the idea is that the government wanted to objectify him and make him feel like he's nothing. And obviously, like, as time passed by, like, it would really take a mental toll on you. Yeah. So
like that experiment of the prisoners and the guards, where you just, you select some random people to be the guards and then the others be the prisoners, and then
you
stand for prison.
That those guards completely go out of proportion, and they start being just
cutting them and stuff like that. Who's that by again?
Google. No, I'll check. Philip Zimbardo.
But it's not it's just an experiment.
Is a psychologist who did the experiment of the art.
It was just psychology. If you watch, there's a movie on it. I've seen
I didn't like the movie though.
I found it a little stressful, so I think I only watched half. But like, I can't deal with that kind of stuff. But like, it's basically it was an experiment by this guy at Stanford who said to these kids in like the 70s, I'll pay like $15 a day if you come to the basement. And
to the basement.
And I think they did like an interview before to see what people were like, if they were the kind who maybe would not be able to.
I think it was randomly assigned.
Yeah, I think it was random.
I think the thing later is just assigned like by pure chance, but before they check, like, could this person handle the experiment? And they were like, okay, all these people, And then they said, okay, basically randomly assigned, you're either a prisoner or you're a guard. And it then, I don't know how long it lasted, like not long at all.
No,
and
I think it was supposed to last 2 weeks, something like that, but
yeah, it
got really out of
very
way,
messy.
way before that. Some prisoners were doing like a hunger strike, and they really wanted out. And like there was this one guard who would like be especially cruel.
Yeah,
some of them, and it got to a point where the
they did make it so that you literally were in your own, you know, cell, and they literally just a mattress on the floor kind of thing. And as time went by, you kind of could see that some guards got, I think some of them were the kind that would do favors for you. So they were like, oh, like tomorrow I'll sneak you in like a chocolate bar. You had some that kind of stayed neutral, and those who got the power just sort of went to their head, and they started like humiliating them, or I don't know, they were doing like weird stuff to them.
I think the key was that they were told that they were only being observed either at night or during the day. In reality, they were observed all the time long. So you would observe that during the time where they were told no one was watching, some were especially cruel, some of them were nice and tried to kind of break the rule, and some just try to play it and be fine with it. But it, like the people who did take it too far got so bad that they had to stop the experiment.
But the guards, they were on a rota, so like they would go home and then they'd come back, whereas the prisoners were there the entire time. And I think some of them
otherwise they would all be prisoners.
Yeah, some of them started to sort of believe that they were in fact prisoners, and this is what the situation is, and started to believe their own, like what was around them. Some were just like, let me fucking leave, I don't want to be here anymore, like this isn't nice. So it didn't last long. I think it got stopped quite early, but it shows just how, you know, that wasn't long at all, and people started going crazy.
I think it's forever gonna be the most referred to like experiment that went wrong in the university. Like every person I know that studies any sort of social sciences has studied this one experiment.
That guy, what's his name, the
Philip
psychologist,
Philip Zimbardo.
He said that he started to think that he was like, because his role was warden, but he said he started to believe that he maybe not was a warden, but that was like the role he was being looked as. And he then had to be told by someone else, you maybe stop. And he was like, oh wow, I took that a bit far.
How did we get here? How is this related?
Because we're just talking about
we're just talking about prisons,
right? So yeah, right. So
that didn't last long, and people went mad.
This shows that people lose their minds in the right, like if you make the right setting, you can completely break down an individual. And that's what basically is happening in prisons, like the one this
experiment. And obviously Syrian, and obviously not obviously, we don't know that, but most, you know, FBI, CIA kind of like
Guantanamo Bay,
that kind of interrogation.
Like even that far, we don't have to look for it that far. Even just like manipulative relationships can be, you know, can be very. It's strangely scary how easily the human mind can.
I think it also depends on the person.
I think this is a long debate.
That's a difficult one.
I think you can be as strong as you want, like mentally, physically, but there is a breaking point somewhere where you'll just lose it all.
The Joker said that.
I think it's
Ono or the Joker?
No, Joker. Both.
I'm a bit with Christy. I do think sometimes it does depend on the person. I do think sometimes you think that would never be me, and then it does become you.
Yeah, but
certain things have to line up for that to happen.
Like if you're in a really bad place, or
but
I don't know.
The scary thing is that if in fact now the point is to break the mind and not the body, prisons don't need to be physical. Think about
that.
Yeah,
true. That's why I think when we
have nightmares about that.
When you watch something and then they'll show when they put someone in isolation, I get so anxious. I'm like, that's so stressful to be put in a place where you can't speak to anyone, and you have no
Lots of
sense of
daylight.
time. And you
Must
know,
be.
I mean, if I was there for a day, I'd go totally nuts.
Yeah.
I have to talk to people.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is that even though everyone can sort of agree on everything we're saying, that it's horrible and unethical and it's sad and traumatic and it's like the worst thing you can do to someone is completely break their minds and render them like some like zombie. It's not something you see in everyday life. So it's this sort of thing that is discussed about faraway places like Guantanamo, Syria, and all that. But the fact that most people in places like Europe don't see that and are not part of that makes it a very complicated thing to become like a movement and really make a change. You know?
I
So
mean,
easy to ignore.
technically, you can also apply that to like society, you know, like 9 to 5 jobs or even longer,
Yeah.
or, you know, banking, art world, where all you do is dedicate your life to this one thing and you feel trapped and can't really get out of the fucking hamster wheel, and that really breaks down your mental health. Anyway, let's move on. That is getting really sad, really depressing, and we're already drinking depressants.
I don't have the energy to go on. I'm like done. So that leaves me. Yay. I'm the least liked person here.
You should have saw that coming, to be honest.
Well, yeah, to be fair, like what am I complaining about? So the work that I have chosen is by one of the names mentioned by Mara before when she was naming all these people that back then weren't famous and now are really well known. Rachel Whiteread, who won the Turner Prize in 1993. Actually, January 1993.
It seems like this is all news to you.
I know the dates. I just have them mixed up because it's a very what happened. Rachel Whiteread is one of the young British artists. So she was basically emerging in the 90s, and by the end of them was a big name in the art world. And the first big thing that she did was this artwork called Ghost in 1991, I believe. Yes. And what it was a cast of a Victorian living room in a house found somewhere in London. And she basically, so when you look at it, it's not made of from the outside, it's from the inside. So you see the shape of the window, you know, coming out of the cast instead of like going in.
Like a negative space.
Yeah, basically. Okay. So the emptiness of the window, yeah. So it had a really good reception. People liked it. They were like, oh, interesting. So she kind of got excited about it, and she moved on to cast an entire house, a full Victorian building. And this happened in 1993. And she basically found one that was about to get demolished and begged people who were in the council and in the company who was about to demolish and everything to please let me cast it before you completely demolish it. And she did. She succeeded. So she made a concrete cast of the entire house. It's not like one block, but it's like several blocks for each of the rooms, and she stacked them in the order of the rooms of the house. And she exhibited there for 11 weeks in the exact spot where the house was later demolished. And 11 weeks later, I think the same day she was awarded the Turner Prize, which was in January 1994, they tore down the statue because it was temporary. It was a temporary sculpture. But it was a very controversial one during that time because kind of was one of those artworks that people were not getting, especially it was a public artwork, so people would walk down the street and see it and be like, what? And there was a very notorious incident where someone wrote in a graffiti, "What for?" spelled WOT for, and a magic reply, which was probably her doing it, said, "Why not?" So yeah, so it was one of those works that probably started or really fueled the debate on, is art something that should be spectacular, could like something that is not amazing be art and all that. So it was a very well-known thing from the beginning. Many people thought it was a very massive, like in terms of the art history artwork. Someone called it the best public sculpture done this century, last century, in the 20th century, in England, Other people were like, this is an abomination, this is horrible. So it was a very polarizing sculpture. And I personally think it's beautiful. When you look at it, it really looks like this weird science fiction object, because you really have to imagine it's the negative space of the inside of a house. And once you see that, you're like, wow, that's great. You can really see the facade when you picture it around, but you never think how it looks from like the inside instead of the outside. So it's really cool. And then later on, she got the Turner Prize 1994. And then in 2001, she was going back to that episode we did about the fourth plane in Trafalgar Square, she did the unnamed monument, which is that
double stack.
Yeah, so it's basically a cast of the plinth
on the plinth,
reverse, standing on top of the plinth.
Cool.
Which, when you see her production, is really like her. She really does love casting things, buildings, objects, and projecting them in a different way. And it's really interesting to see reality, basically. Yeah. Because she looks at, it's a very postmodernistic, like Derrida vibe, because she looks at what is like, it's not there, but is there at the same time, and shows it to you. So it's really interesting. I really like her work. And she also did, I don't remember the year for this one, but she did later on, she did the monument, more like a huge installation for the Turbine Hall in Tate Modern. Mm-hmm. And it was this huge number, like must have been hundreds of boxes of plastic, like translucent plastic, stacked on top of each other to make columns and pyramids and structures, and all of it occupying the entire Turbine Hall. So it looked like what she used as a reference, and I think it's a great example of like how you can imagine it, is the last scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, when these old guys put in the Lost Ark in the Area 51 and he's walking out and there's these boxes full of who knows what. But there's like this massive scale of, there's so much in this room. You get that when you see pictures of this. Like there's a picture of her, like it's taken from one of those bridges that connect the two wings. And she's like this small thing, like, hey, in the middle of it. And it's towers of, yeah, it's really cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
I love her.
That reminds me of an artist called Heidi Bucher. She's German, I think.
Jawohl.
Jawohl.
Jawohl. And what she does is, instead of casting things in art, in concrete or whatever, she casts spaces with latex and then displays them like how the room was, in a way. She casted her childhood home. She casts a lot of stuff, a lot of like huge walls and surfaces, and it's kind of like as you said, kind of like a time capsule of what that space was, but it's a little bit more personal because of latex. So there's this feeling of aged skin, like it looks a bit fleshy, but at the same time it looks very raggedy in a way. So it has this like really eerie vibe to it, and it's not quite about occupying space, but it's more about like you as a person and memory occupying that space, which it's a little bit less, in a way, monumental or less wow compared to Rachel. But yeah, I think that's another artist that you should definitely look into. It's really interesting. I really love her work.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds interesting.
I've always liked Rachel White-Read. She reminds me a lot of like my mum and my grandparents are architects, and it's very like architecture. It's very like
she's really architectural, yeah.
And my mum loves her, but like I don't know why her work reminds me so much of my mum, like if she was an artist. And I went to an exhibition of hers at the Hayward, and I loved it. It was just so, like the resin she used and like the textures of the material she used to cast stuff is so like you want to look at it all day. And I remember there was like a mattress on the floor that was like this, leaning on the floor, made out of resin, And again, it's like not what you expect it to be made out of. It's so nice to look at. Yeah, I've always liked her work. It's such a good vibe.
Well, I'm glad you like her work, because in 1994, the same time she won the Turner Prize for Best British Artist, she
Everyone
also
hated
won.
it.
She also won, what was it called? The K Foundation of something. K Foundation Art Award for the worst British artist.
Ah!
Oh, Han, that's not nice.
What the hell?
Well,
Why does that thing exist?
That's not correct either. Jesus.
You always need the ratsies or something. It's like how humans work. So
I know, but like worst, I can get that.
Who
with
has
that,
won?
maybe Damien.
Who's on that list?
Hers? Yeah, who's on that list?
well, let me
Name
tell.
and shame.
Ronnie Van Hoot.
Oh, Ronnie.
Sorry, Ronnie. We like your work. We like your work.
I love your work,
Oh,
Ronnie.
we talk about it every fucking episode.
We love Kwesi.
This is
We really
free
love you.
publicity for this guy.
Shouldn't have made such an amazing artwork.
I literally typed in ugliest public artwork.
I know, I did that too, and I saw the hand and was like, that's too easy.
Finn, like, yeah, I agree. But
I think
all of them, just aesthetically, it was so fugly. I didn't even know the meaning behind
like
it.
Mike Wazowski on the roundabout. It's
I
just
think-
properly ugly.
I think Rachel Whiteread was the biggest name that ever featured in this list of worst artists.
Oh, are they not?
And they just wanted free publicity. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
legit.
Probably, I mean,
They just want to steal.
I
fame.
can't
Just
find any
piranhas.
other mention of a big name, so she must have been the only one that really stood out.
They're just
But
greedy.
bear in mind that this was in the 90s, so people like her,
Yeah.
David Hurst, and young British artists, they were like
Tracy Emin.
coming out during
Yeah.
this time. So people had no idea who they were, and they were completely, mind-breaking what they were doing. And now they're like these superstars, but back then they were like, who the fuck is this guy? So makes sense. There's a lot of controversy about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, any special mention, guys?
I really, really, really liked. Wait, let me
Oh,
check
God.
his name.
Oh, remember
I know
2016? There was this one sculpture with spread ass cheeks.
Just for the lulz.
And
called?
Lubina Himid, which
Oh,
we
Lubina.
mentioned
Yeah.
in
I saw that.
one of our in one of our podcasts.
Black
Lives
Black
Matter
artists.
episodes.
Yeah.
Go listen to
She
that,
also
Kevin.
won. Yeah, she won the Turner Prize, which is quite nice.
It's
That's cool.
clearly the kind of thing where it's so influential on your career because
Mhm.
Yeah.
so many big names have come out of that, or then like Tate is interested in owning a piece of your work, and that in itself makes you makes your work seem so
Important. Yeah.
Important. In
I
a
don't want to
way.
say important or like legitimate or like whatever, but like institutions like it,
Yeah.
so it
become-
adds value. And
Yeah.
So
I also
the
like Steve McQueen.
Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
yeah,
But also because he makes also films for commercial purposes. So
and they're really good.
interesting how he balances that, making
Yeah.
commercial films like 12 Years a Slave, like Hunger, I believe, and then also making artistic films. It's very interesting
Yeah.
how he can make that divide so easily.
I don't think many people can do that, where they can be
Yeah.
like, I'm going to
No.
do something super commercial, and then I'm going to bounce back and do something like a lot more just art for
Because he
you know,
has
say-
this fantastic film. It's called Ashes, and it's dual projection, but like on both sides, and then you can also walk in the room, like either side. And one
Oh,
side
nice.
is this young guy, beautiful, like sitting on the front of a boat, and they're like sailing into, and his skin is like lit up by the sunshine and the salt of the ocean, and his hair is, and he's smiling, and he sometimes falls off, and then he comes on again, and it's really great. But then you hear this metal, like picking, and these metal sounds, which don't really correlate to the kind of the scene of the ocean. And then you kind of turn around, and you see 3 men building a grave, and you're like, it doesn't make sense. But then when you look at the grave, you hear those waves and a man laughing, and then you, at the end of the film, you realize that that's the grave of the young man on the other side, who got killed due to a drug conflict. And it's this great film, and it really blows you away. Makes your heart
I
sing.
think it's really important to mention that most of the films that he does direct are very has a really strong message.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that, I suppose, for him to make something that is meaningful, like a movie that is meaningful and at the same time, provokes thinking, just like his works.
But then at the same time, his last work that I saw, which was Year 3, didn't really... I was like, this is not Steve McQueen.
I mean, I guess but then at the same time, does it always have to, be,
of course not.
be the same that he used to make? Because it could be a new direction. And also, I do think with Year 3, I think it's a comment on education.
Yeah, what Year 3 is basically was a school picture of every Year 3 in London.
Yes.
In London, yeah. And then it was displayed in the main hall in the Tate Britain, which was very impressive.
I know,
walk
but
in and see all those pictures.
If you'd asked me who that was by, I would have said like a million other people before.
Yeah, but
him.
not Steve McQueen.
Yeah, but then again,
I know, but
it's not about the brand of the artist, and I think it's really great that he's breaking out of it, that he doesn't want all of his works to have the same staples.
Yeah. Also, shout out to his commercial movies; they're really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out because they don't have enough recognition. Shout out to them.
Yes. What's like everyone's watching? Is it 12 Years of Slavery?
12 Years a Slave.
12 Years a Slave.
It was more than 12
There's
years
more.
of slavery.
So, yeah.
Because ignored that one.
A slave.
12 Years a Slave is the most talked about movie, but I think his best movie is Shame. Watch it.
That one, that's a good one.
Shame is amazing. It really destroys you from the inside, like an alien. Well, the aliens come out of your belly, so that's...
Oh, is that how it works? I hadn't
Shame
realised.
does to you, yes.
Do we have any concluding thoughts on the matter?
Well, I was finding the one that I wanted to mention before. It was Jeremy Deller, by the way, who's a really controversial British artist who does a lot of all sorts of things. He's the most dispersed artist I know. Like, he does everything you can imagine of. But he won the Turner Prize in 2004 and shortly before he had done this really cool thing called the Battle of Orgreave, which was a reenactment of an incident that happened in 1984, where UK miners in this place called Orgreave, or I don't really know how to pronounce it, sorry, but they basically fought against the police, and there were like 100 and something wounded people, and it was a really spectacular thing to reenact the whole thing. And I really thought this guy had such level of, what's the word? Like, he really envisioned the entire thing again and repeated how it happened. Imagine having that with like hundreds of people acting. It was really insane. Really.
I'm so glad that we have done a drinking episode, but seem to have spoken mostly about very serious things.
Yeah, we're really cohesive today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, everyone.
Get used to this, I would
Maybe
say.
we're getting better at this.
I've drank a jug of gin and tonic, and I've only been better than when I'm sober.
We should be drunk in every episode. That's the
Maybe
secret.
it's because of the hats.
Maybe it's the hats, yeah.
Just saying.
And the masses keeping
I've
us
been
sane.
masking.
It's
Squeezing our brains tighter so they're more focused.
And it's not letting you see my blush.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good way to hide it. Okay,
Wait,
well, thank you so much for coming.
Yes, for listening.
Put in the comments what your favorite Turner Prize winner is.
Yeah.
Or if you don't
just
have
turn a
one,
nominee. It doesn't have to be a winner.
yeah. If you don't have one, just your favorite color.
Yeah, we would love to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're taking.
We'll review them in an episode.
We'll review
Your favorite colors.
We'll have a very
Okay.
long conversation about each
Guess
of them.
our favorite color.
guess our
Oh
favorite
yeah,
color.
guess our favorite color.
I think
That
at
too.
least two of us have the same.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We love you. Let us know what your favourite Turner Prize work is, and if you can't get enough of us, check out one of our previous episodes where we tackle art-related topics and debates. That's it from us. See you in 7 days. Love ya. Bye.